We know the T20 format is random at the best of times, but I guess it makes some logical sense that the two undefeated teams are facing off against each other in the final. But before we get to that, Ayaz, let's talk about the two semi-finals. Afghanistan thoroughly destroyed by South Africa. I think somewhere a lot of pressure on Afghanistan making their first semi-final, maybe the whole stage, the grand spectacle that got to them. And South Africa have been there many times and finally get through to their first final. And India demolished England, so sort of revenge for the last semi-final in Australia. So, what did you make of both of the matches?
I mean, South Africa's match was completely one-sided against Afghanistan because Afghanistan, batting had always been a little suspect. They've come along very well in the pace bowling department. The spin bowling is top class. I think what happens with teams like Afghanistan who don't have too much experience behind them, that sustaining form right through the tournament, the entire duration of the tournament can sometimes become very challenging, and especially when you come into a semi-final, a big match, and the batting just crumbles. So while the bowling had been fantastic, defending 56. Remember, Afghanistan had defended 115, 117. They'd really done extremely well on pitches which helped their spinners to either bowl out opponents or not allow them to score the runs. But against South Africa, 56, how do you defend? And I thought that South Africa bowled really well. They got a spicy pitch which they exploited to the hilt. And yeah, I mean, they're in one final now in the World Cup final for the first time, actually. So it's a breakthrough match for them, however it may have come. But Afghanistan, I think they can take some consolation from the fact that they packed up some really big teams in this tournament, including Australia. So they'll be richer for the experience. I don't think the one clear outcome of this tournament has been that no team can take Afghanistan lightly. When it comes to India versus England, I thought, India, it was just such a clinically, brilliant performance by India in the batting, in the bowling, in the fielding. They just looked not just one or two notches, but several notches above England. It's I don't in the batting, in the bowling, and within the bowling, in the pace department, in the spin department, it's been immaculate India's performance, and they've been led marvelously by Rohit Sharma, whose own bionic form with the bat is really setting the stage and the tempo for his team's performance. Remember, the only two guys who've actually not done as much or as well as expected are Virat Kohli and Ravindra Jadeja, the two really big guns for these kind of wickets. But then they found other guys to kind of stand up. I'm not talking of Jasprit Bumrah, who's a world-class act, but look at how Akshar Patel has performed and Arshdeep Singh. These two guys are amongst the leading wicket takers. Akshar, of course, has just gone from strength to strength. He's put his stamp on this tournament and India's performances. So I thought England, a little wobbly against spin. We've seen that in the Test series at home. They just, after Joss Butler, they just became so fragile. It surprised me that they had. It seemed to me that they had not prepared themselves technically and mentally to cope with Indian spin. Perhaps too much attention paid to Bumrah. But hey, that's the way it is. And I thought it was sweet revenge for India after being, beaten by 10 wickets in the 2022 World Cup.
Yeah. So next we move on to the final, which a lot of people online are calling a battle of the chokers because South Africa have historically held that tag, and now India in the past 10 years or so have been holding that tag in ICC tournaments. So what do you expect from that match, and who do you think has an advantage, if any?
I think certainly the advantage with India because of unbeaten both teams are, but the manner of India's performances and the victories, the emphatic manner in which India has won matches, and plus the absolute and the brilliance in the bowling attack to me is the most significant aspect of India's campaign so far. I'm not taking anything away from the batting, certainly not from somebody like Rohit Sharma, who's been in magnificent form. But if you have to make 170 against England and win the match with so much conviction, 171 in the semi-final, then you need the bowlers to really come good. And you've got in Arshdeep, Bumrah, Pandya, a terrific trio of fast bowlers who've really adjusted well to the pitches and the conditions there. And then there's no respite for the opposing batsmen, which is with Kuldeep, Akshar Patel, and Jadeja with the all three of them left arm spinners, but of very different styles and approaches. So I think India hold the aces in my opinion. But having said that, this is T20, and remember South Africa have their own match winners. Quinton de Kock has been in terrific form in this tournament. He's the kind of guy who can take the game away from the opponents. So too Heinrich Klaassen. And then the bowlers, they've got Rabada looking hungry, Norke looking extremely sharp and fit. Two spinners who have, Shamsi is a wrist spinner like Kuldeep Yadav. Keshav Maharaj, more orthodox left arm spin like Jadeja. So they've got their own spinners and Aiden Markram who can pitch in with a few bowling, few overs. So it's a good attack that South Africa have. It's a good team. It's about self belief at this point in time. So I think South Africa, for them, the challenge is to forget the past, whatever has happened. Don't think of themselves as guys who stumble at the last hurdle, and go and play their best. For India, obviously the red flag is only about not getting too cocky. There's still a match to be won before the title comes home.
Yeah. So finally, I wanted to talk to you about this lament that Indian fans have had that India haven't won an ICC trophy since 2013. Do you think a win here will completely absolve them of that guilt, or do you think because this is a T20 format and as you said it's random and some teams can win out of the blue? Like I remember in the 2021 World Cup, Australia just wasn't the best team; they just won out of the blue. So, do you think winning this trophy will completely absolve them of that guilt, or do you think they need that one day World Cup which they lost? Or do you think at this point Indian fans will take whatever they can get?
I'm sure that the players and the fans will say, look, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a long, long wait. I mean, 2013 is when we won the Champions Trophy, and after that, there's been more heartbreak than more joy in the major tournaments. I mean, India have been the most consistent team, reaching the semi-finals in the ODI World Cup, even in the T20 World Cup, they've done reasonably well, not always reaching the final or the semi-final, but this could be a breakthrough moment for India because they've been a bit in the dumps. That we said the team which possesses the most stars and has all the resources available when cricket is played at home or anywhere else. You expect the team to be more consistent, winning more consistently at the highest level, and certainly winning trophies. That has not happened for 11 years. So this will be a breakthrough moment, and I think it'll be a culmination of sorts in the planning and the effort that has gone in over the last couple of years. Certainly since 2022, the T20 World Cup in Australia, because India reached the final of the ODI World Cup in it was a command performance till that fateful day in Ahmedabad when we lost. So it's been a command performance so far by India in this tournament. Now there's this last hurdle to cross. So I think it will be a breakthrough moment. There's a whole bunch of players, young talent, which is emerging in India. And if you have something like this to hang on to, a victory like this, I think it'll just raise the level of not just of passion for cricket in India, but also the level of performances.
Yeah. So the final hurdle, as you call it, is coming up tomorrow, and we'll get back to you after that. So yeah, that's it for this episode of Sportsroom. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Andrew. Cheers.